In 2017, Saudi Arabia released a promotional video that was watched 40 million times. It showed a city of glass stretching 170 kilometers through the desert, flying taxis, robot servants, indoor ski slopes. 9 years later, every one of those promises can be measured against reality, and the gap between what Saudi Arabia sold the world and what it actually built is the most expensive lie in modern history. Project by project, render by render, dollar by dollar, the receipts are in. In this video, I will place every major Saudi mega project side by side. The original promise next to the current reality. I will expose the total amount spent across all Vision 2030 construction projects versus what has actually been delivered. And I will show you why the pattern of failure is not random. It is structural, and it means the projects that haven't failed yet almost certainly will. Every number you are about to hear is sourced from financial disclosures, satellite imagery, and investigative reporting. Saudi Arabia can dispute the interpretation. They cannot dispute the math. Project 1, the line, the flagship, the centerpiece of NEOM, and the most ambitious construction project ever announced. The promise: a mirrored city 170 kilometers long, 200 meters wide, 500 meters tall. 9 million residents, 0 cars, 100% renewable energy. Completion by 2030. The reality: as of early 2025, approximately 2.4 kilometers of foundation trench has been excavated. No habitable structures exist. The resident target has been quietly revised to 300,000, 1.4% of the promised length, 0% of the promised population. Over $50 billion spent. The Wall Street Journal reported that internal NEOM documents described the original timeline as physically impossible. One former employee told the Financial Times what everyone inside the project already knew. One former employee told the Financial Times what everyone inside the project already knew. Project 2, Jeddah Tower, announced as the world's tallest building, 1,000-meter target, taller than the Burj Khalifa by 172 meters. The promise: the tallest structure ever built by humans, a symbol of Saudi ambition that would be visible from space. Original completion, date 2020. The reality: construction stalled in 2017 at approximately 250 meters, 1/4 of the target height. It has not moved since. The crane at the summit has been frozen for 8 years. The numbers speak for themselves. 8 years of stalled construction at 1/4 of the target height. The project has been officially on hold for 8 years. The developer has provided no updated timeline. Estimated cost overrun exceeds $3 billion above the original $1.2 billion budget. Project 3, Trojena, a ski resort in the desert mountains of northwestern Saudi Arabia, planned host of the 2029 Asian Winter Games. The promise: year-round skiing, luxury chalets, a lakeside village at 2,400 meters elevation. Temperatures artificially maintained below zero in a region that reaches 45 degrees in summer. The reality: site preparation is underway, but no ski infrastructure is visible in satellite imagery. The Asian Winter Games, initially scheduled for 2029, face credibility questions from international sports federations. Engineering consultants have estimated the energy required to maintain snow in desert conditions would exceed the power consumption of a city of 100,000 people. The environmental contradiction is staggering. Project 4, Sindalah, a luxury island resort in the Red Sea, billed as Saudi Arabia's answer to the Maldives. The promise: a luxury destination opening to guests in 2024. Yacht marina, 5-star hotels. Coral Reef Conservation Center, the first NEOM project to welcome visitors. The reality: as of early 2025, Sindalah has not opened to the general public. Limited preview events have been held for select invitees. The marina has been partially completed. The hotels remain under construction. The project, marketed as the first proof of concept for NEOM, cannot deliver on its simplest promise: open the doors, let people in. Project 5, The Mokab, a 400-meter cube in the center of Riyadh, large enough to fit 20 Empire State Buildings inside. The Promise, the largest enclosed structure on Earth, a holographic sky projected on the interior ceiling, shopping, entertainment, and hospitality inside a single building. No timeline was ever formally announced. The Reality, foundation work has reportedly begun, but no above-ground structure is visible. Industry analysts have questioned whether the holographic ceiling technology described in promotions actually exists at the required scale. A 400-meter cube with a holographic sky. The engineering has never been done. The technology hasn't been proven, but the promotional video has 60 million views. Project 6, Oxagon, the world's largest floating industrial complex, an octagonal structure in the Red Sea designed for advanced manufacturing. The Promise, the largest floating structure ever built, advanced manufacturing, robotics, supply chain innovation, a new model for industrial cities, original target completion in the early 2030s. The Reality, no floating structure has been built. Coastal land preparation has been documented, but the core concept, a floating octagonal platform, remains entirely conceptual. No engineering firm has publicly confirmed the design is feasible at the proposed scale. 6 critical engineering systems, every single one untested at this scale. 0 independent verification that any of them work. 6 projects, hundreds of billions spent. The pattern is undeniable. One financial analyst at Goldman Sachs described the portfolio to Bloomberg as the most concentrated bet on unproven concepts in the history of sovereign wealth management. The scorecard across all 6 projects tells a devastating story. The total estimated expenditure across all 6 projects exceeds $150 billion. The total revenue generated to date is approximately zero. $150 billion spent, $0 of revenue generated. That ratio defines the entire Vision 2030 construction portfolio. $150 billion and nothing you can check into, fly to, shop in, ski on, or live in. That is the return on investment so far. The timeline reveals a pattern of announcement, delay, revision, and quiet downscaling that repeats across every project. In 2017, Nebraska NEOM was announced with a line as its centerpiece. Jeddah Tower was already stalled, but the government didn't acknowledge it. By 2020, the pandemic provided cover for delays. Every project timeline was pushed. The message was the same. Temporary setback. Construction will resume at full pace. By 2022, internal NEOM documents leaked to the Wall Street Journal revealed that the original scope was being drastically reduced. 170 kilometers became 2.4. 9 million residents became 300,000. By 2023, the Saudi finance minister publicly acknowledged that some Vision 2030 projects would be delayed beyond their original timelines. The first official admission of failure. Delayed. That is government speak for we spent the money and didn't build what we promised, but we're hoping you won't notice if we change the subject. By 2024, the PIF acknowledged losses on domestic investments. NEOM began pivoting its narrative from futuristic city to technology and AI hub. The pivot is the tell. When a construction project starts calling itself a technology company, the buildings are not coming. Several factors explain why the pattern repeats across every project. First, top-down design. Every project was conceived as a vision statement, not an engineering plan. The renders were created before feasibility studies. The announcements preceded the math. Second, no independent oversight. Every project self-reports its progress. There is no external body verifying timelines, budgets, or feasibility claims. Third, political risk of honesty. Telling Mies that his signature project is failing is a career-ending act. The internal culture rewards optimism and punishes realism. One senior consultant, who worked across multiple Vision 2030 projects, describe the culture to Bloomberg. He described a culture where questioning feasibility was treated as disloyalty. Feasibility was a negative attitude. That sentence explains every failed timeline, every revised target, and every $1 billion spent on foundations that lead nowhere. Fourth, the subcontracting fragmentation means that hundreds of companies are involved, but nobody has holistic project accountability. Each firm delivers its piece. Nobody is responsible for whether the pieces form a whole. Finally, the marketing investment dwarfs the engineering investment. More money has been spent on promotional videos for NEOM than on several of the smaller projects' entire construction budget. The digital evidence is everywhere. Satellite services track construction progress monthly. Every claimed milestone can be verified from orbit. YouTube itself has become an accountability tool. Channels dedicated to tracking mega-project progress compare promotional timelines against satellite reality. The comment sections are brutal. Reddit communities have compiled tracking spreadsheets: original promise, revised target, current status, estimated percentage complete. For every project, the pattern is identical: grand announcement, quiet reduction. Financial analysts on LinkedIn have started publicly questioning PIF allocation strategy. Several posts noting the gap between international portfolio returns and domestic mega-project losses have gone viral. The consequences compound with each passing year. The credibility deficit makes foreign investment harder to attract. Foreign investors who were approached to fund NEOM have used language that should alarm every Saudi economic planner. One senior banker described the project to Bloomberg as uninvestable. He described running financial models that produce the same devastating conclusion every time. The 2034 World Cup adds pressure. FIFA requires infrastructure that functions, not concept renders, not promotional videos, functioning stadiums, hotels, and transport systems. If Saudi Arabia cannot deliver a luxury island resort on time, the question of whether it can deliver World Cup infrastructure becomes unavoidable. What does Saudi leadership know about the collective status of these projects that they aren't saying? Internal PIF assessments almost certainly paint a picture more concerning than any public statement has acknowledged. What happens when a country's entire modernization strategy is built on projects that cannot deliver what they promised? This is not about individual project failures. It is about a systemic approach to national development that prioritizes spectacle over substance. To be fair, Saudi Arabia's domestic reforms beyond the mega projects are genuine: entertainment liberalization, women driving, tourism visas. These changes are real and significant, but those reforms cost millions. The mega projects cost hundreds of billions. The question is whether the country can afford to keep funding projects that produce renders instead of revenue. The uncomfortable truth is this: every dollar spent on a mirrored wall that doesn't exist is a dollar not spent on education, healthcare, or a functioning non-oil economy. Saudi Arabia sold the world a vision: the most ambitious construction program in human history. Glass cities, mirror walls, floating factories, desert ski resorts, impossible architecture made real. 9 years and $150 billion later, the promise remains a promotional video. The reality remains a desert with very expensive holes in it. You've been told this is the future, that these projects represent human progress at its most ambitious, but ambition without delivery is just marketing. And $150 billion of marketing is the most expensive advertisement ever produced for nothing. The receipts are public. The satellites don't lie. The math doesn't change. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Which project do you think will be canceled first? Subscribe for the truth about Vision 2030. Because this is the scorecard. Wait until you see what happened to the workers who built the foundations that lead nowhere.